come on, get down with Gotchardness. It's Kamen Rider Gotchard. Gather up, Gotchard, episode 42. We're talking about episode 42. 42. The meaning of the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So let's just get down to it, because Grayon is swinging his big dick around, going to the other Abyss Kings, going like, yo, so I absorbed Jermaine. He's kind of a part of me now. I'm taking shit over. And it's just like, oh, the fuck's happening with this dude? As our crew is in haywire mode, just trying to fucking figure things out. Everything's going crazy. Rene even gets hit with like a freezing spells thing, and it's just like, oh shit. And that's when they get an alert that there's a new Kemi, and everyone's like, what the fuck? There's only these many Kemis. There can't be any more. So now they have to go investigate. And it's in a place where Sabimaru kind of recognizes. So we have Sabimaru, Spanner, and Hotaro going to investigate this new possible Kemi. And Sabimaru's brother shows up, and they're like, holy shit, you have a brother? And it's like, yeah, there's actually a lot of secret things you don't know about me. And we see another side of the secret alchemy stuff in this world, where basically there's a whole secret area, not part of the Alchemy Society, that has its own research that's unrelated to the Alchemy Society. So they are not limited by what's banned or not. So they can still research chemis, technically. There's still like a little bit of like a taboo, where it's not like something right there in the open, but it's not secret. You can still talk about them, kind of thing. And Spanner's taking a gas at this. It's just like, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. Hotaro and Sabimaru are kind of like, Hotaro learning about this is like, oh, cool. People talking about chemis. You guys like them. That's nice. And Sabimaru is like kind of coming home for the first time in a while. His brother's being very mean to him for some reason. But that's when we break away for some bit, and we kind of see the environment Sabimaru grew up, where it's a lot of like one-on-one education and a lot of like early development stuff, and it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. And all these kids have iPads. Jesus Christ, don't give all these kids iPads. That's not a great idea. And you just see lots of little things with Sabimaru and the environment he grew up. All the kids have iPads, and all the kids are kind of talking through the iPads because they're using a alchemist-empowered AI. And that's where the little AI voice comes from on Sabimaru's iPad. We see a bunch of kids' drawings of chemis and all these different kind of stuff. And it's just like, oh, this is really neat deep dive into Sabimaru and just who he is. Right? Meanwhile, the head researcher woman, who they were talking to earlier about chemis, is kind of going a little crazy. And it's going like, save you, Kemi. And she's having like PTSD flashbacks to Grayon, because she learned about him earlier. And we cut back to Hotaro, and then we see a new amalgam for the new Kemi. But it's not kind of solid. It's flitting in between a tank and a turtle. And it's like, ooh, what's going on here? So Hotaro says like, hey, need you gone, stick with Sabimaru, fucking figure out what's going on with this thing. You have a fun fight with fire and Valvarad, Daybreak, like Kamen Rider Valvarad, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, this fun, cool fight. And the amalgam has to like disappear for a bit, and that's when we get the further confirmation of what's going on, because apparently 10 years ago Sabimaru accidentally created, they don't really specify in this way, but I think it's a proto Kemi. It's not fully formed, it's not fully like developed. That's why it's in a weird flow state. And the lead researcher has been trying to stabilize it and study it for these past 10 years. And she has gone a little crazy. Oh no. So she amalgams back up, and we have Hotaro and Spanner henshining up, going to fight. It's a big, fun, crazy fight. They're able to knock the amalgam out, like classic early Gatchard, taking the Kami onto a card. The research woman faints, and that's when Hotaro looks at the card and goes like, wait a second. It's dripping out. It's so unstable we can't even capture it. Just what is going on here? As Grayon is beginning his master plan. A focus on the past kind of makes it hard to see the pain of today, because again, you're focused on the past and not able to confront it and fix it for the better. The older brother feels a certain way. We're not sure how, but I have my theories. We'll talk about those in a minute. And he takes him out on Sabimaru, right? You know what? I said in a minute. I'll just go into it now. I think my theory of why he's so aggressive to Sabimaru is because Sabimaru left their enclave and joined the Alchemy Academy. And it's just like, what the fuck, bro? You're abandoning us? You're betraying us? Fuck you. Kind of thing, right? While the older woman is super focused on her trauma she received from Grayon, whether that's being betrayed by Grayon because she is in a photograph with him, or if it's she was a victim of him as well. Who knows? We're unsure. But she's letting that consume her, and in a way that is also consuming the new Kemi, which is coming from the past of Sabimaru. Not a lot of big thematic things, but there are some neat things in there about like trauma and past and forgiveness and all that kind of stuff, and how that can wrap up with empathy. But this was a pretty good episode. We got some new interesting lore. It's weird how it's coming in so late into the show. But hey, that's not the end of the world. We had some great fight bits. Like the second fight, when Rainbow Gachard jumped off that little pillar, that looked really cool. And the use of like fire forms jetpack kick thing of just holding him and just burning him. That is such a cool, brilliant use of like the setup mechanics that you've already set in place, right? And of course, firing Spanner and yourself out of a cannon. That's great. Good job, Hotaro. And like we've been saying for the past couple of weeks, the show has some lumps. It's not a bad show. It's a lumpy show. And that's not always, you know. But a lot of times, the fights really do make up for it. And the hints at what's going to be coming up next do look really neat. You want to know what's also neat? Fucking following me on social media, subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment, giving a like, doing all those kind of things. It's fun. It's cool. It'll make you look cool. And as always, you can support me on Patreon as low as $1 a month. We'll get you a bonus video. I've been reviewing Agito over there, so come and check it out. But in the meantime, we're nearing the end of this season, and as we start getting more and more information on the next Kamen Rider, I feel it is prudent to make this announcement now. The next Kamen Rider will not be reviewed on this YouTube channel. However, I will still be reviewing it just on my Patreon. Okay? So let me explain. This is a very kind of like cynical shit, but it's not going to be here mainly due to the fact that it's the weekly videos that are very like recency bias of, oh, nobody's going back and rewatching them. They are not evergreen content. It's I think it's hurting my channel a little bit. It's hurting the channel a little bit, and I want to grow. I want to make this cool stuff. So I still want to make these videos because I still want to talk about Kamen Rider. I want to talk about it weekly, and I enjoy the conversations we have with some of the legendary people that have just kind of come back week after week. You know, Slime Beast, Esconde, Fish Pop, just some random guy. And it's just like, I want to keep talking about it. I want to keep doing all that kind of stuff. But it is killing the channel a little bit. So, it's going to be on Patreon. It's going to be free and public. They're not going to be behind a paywall. The only stuff that's going to be on a paywall is going to be the bonus video. So, there'll be 2 videos a week on Patreon, and this channel will basically just be for my big scripted video essays and compilations of those reviews. So, how do you want to be notified about these things? I'll probably make a post here on YouTube through the community tab. But if you want more ways to make sure, you can follow my Blue Sky account, and I'll post there when they get uploaded. And you can also join my Discord. Link to the server is in the description, and you will be notified there. And of course, I do have a free membership option on my Patreon. So if you have a Patreon account, you can just join for free, and Patreon themselves will tell you when one of them will be uploaded. But that is the current plan. Gachard will continue and finish here, and then we will talk about Kamen Rider gavv. Yeah, I think that's how it's probably going to be pronounced, gavv. Kamen Rider gavv on my Patreon account. So that's the update. That's all the stuff. Now it is time for comments. First up, from Slime Beast. What's up? Yeah, we keep talking about the lumpy situation with the villains, and it's just like it's kind of a solid thing when your one big flaw of the show is just like, oh, that's kind of a shame. It's not like bad, you know. Show's still pretty good. It's always a cool thing. Next up from Tai Toen. Tai Toen just talking about how it's cool Gatchard can summon the Kimmies to make the suits. So like, it's a really cool and interesting power. It's just like Gatchard really went from just like a neat idea of a power to one of the most versatile Kamen Riders in the entire history of the franchise with the Rainbow upgrade. Because if we're gonna be a little honest, like, it's not necessarily, I don't power scale. I versatility scale. That's what I think about. It's like, okay, cool. You have the power to fucking punch a sun. What else can you use it for? You know? Like, that's why O's is so cool power-wise, because it's so versatile. He can do so many things with it. That's what I kind of dig. I dig versatility of power sets. And Gatchard is very versatile, and also just very, like, he can instantly have, like, there's over 100 Kimmies. If he wanted to, he could have about a 50-man army whenever he wanted, if you just give him a minute to scan all the cards. And they all have each individualized power. He's a one-man Justice League. That's kind of cool. Next up from Fish Pop. Yeah, Fish Pop bringing up the camera work, because here's the thing, I haven't brought it up a ton in these reviews, but the camera work for the show has been good. It's been real solid. It's like pretty good camera work. It's just that there's other things to talk about. But yeah, take a moment, go like, good job cameramen, good job directors, good job cinematographers for the whole show. You're doing a bang up job. You're getting a lot of interesting, cool angles. And also just saying how Hopper 1 looked weird flying. I think that's just how grasshoppers fly. I think that's just how they look. Also, did you know grasshoppers and locusts are the same creature? When grasshoppers get agitated too much, that's when they turn into a locust. I think I mentioned that when Hopper 1 became Amalgam? I don't know. Don't remember. I have a piss poor memory. Next up from just some random guy. Yeah, just some more lamentations of... The show is lumpy. It's not bad, it's lumpy. You know, you just gotta accept it for what it is, kind of thing. It's like, eh. And also just bringing up the idea of like, oh, trying to be unpredictable with new big bads all the time. I mean, if everything is unpredictable, then nothing is, right? But there's not much we can do. It's not even like it's a complaint, but I feel like if we keep going on about this complaint, it's not doing anything to help. It's like we acknowledge it and we talk about it when it comes up, but it's not the end of the world. We're near the end of the show, and I don't think if they pull off a Germain coming out of Grayon, that's when I would get pissed. You know, of like, I'm Germain, I'm in Grayon. Here's the thing: if they fuse into like a fully formed creature, that's fine. But if Germain takes over Grayon, that would be a fucking straw. You know what I mean? That would be a fucking straw. And finally, from Esconde. Esconde bringing up a couple cool things. The two mover guys, they're old Metal Hero dudes. And they did their whole helmet thing with their helmets. And that's like fun. I always dig it when they bring cameo stuff like that in. I'm just talking about some of the structural issues of Gatchard. And I brought up the idea of like what I think the length is hurting. Because there was a good stretch where they just stretched it. And it I think that's causing some of the lumpiness, you know. I'm not saying that Kamen Rider needs to stop being as long as it is. No, if you design a season around it right, it can work. O's, I think, is a good example of a season like that. Xade, Drive did pretty good. Geats did amazing with its length. I just think, you know, write for the length, not write a show and then try to plan around the length. But I also agree on the Rene and Spanner stuff of like, that's when I said of like wanting them to have more characterization. Because at the beginning of the season, they had a lot of really cool stuff. And it's just kind of, there's been lulls with them. And again, I think that might be like a length thing, because if you put all the characterization, all the character exploration of them, like, in a denser show, it would probably feel better, but because it's so spread out, it kind of feels like oases in a desert. You know what I mean? But that is it for this video. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good week. And I hope that you'll be here for the next Gather Up Gachard.
Big thank you to my Patreon supporters, Esconde and Scott Firestein.